then you start to get really focused on, all right, I've got to put in the work. And I just don't like these pie in the sky ideas.
You have to develop a very compelling vision for your life, and you have to become that person before you see the results.
What did I do that worked? What did I do that didn't work? And why did I not achieve the $100,000? That's the step that's usually missing, is like the reflection piece, right?
This is ongoing. You're never done, right? It's good to have an annual review, but I also think it's good to have a weekly review and a quarterly review.
How do you get more clients? How do you make your clients worth more? Or how do you make your business worth more money? Those are the three things that you should be trying to solve in your business. And if you're not working towards that, then what are you doing?
Resolutions are a complete waste of time. Okay. So as we go into this new year, we need to talk about building a framework that will actually work for you to create change in your real estate career, change in your life. And that's what we're going to talk about today. And we'll jump in with that. I was interested to have this conversation with you because you and I are both achievement-oriented people. We definitely have frameworks for that achievement, right? There are things that we do. There are plans that we make. But if I'm honest, I don't really like the word goals as much as I don't like the word resolutions. I maybe that's just because it's maybe a little bit overused, or, we hear it all the time. You need to set goals. I feel like, maybe from a military background, objectives is a better word. It's like, what are my objectives for 2024? But the other thing that I don't like about quote unquote goals is, how do I want to say this? With goals specifically, I just don't, if you set a goal and then you start achieving it too soon, then you stop doing the things that got you there. And that's what I see a lot with real estate agents. They go, okay, I want to make $150,000 this year. And then if they make $30,000 with 1 month, then there's like a thermostat that turns off. So they stop doing the thing that got them there. So sometimes goals can be a limitation.
Yeah. I don't like goals because they don't make you unique. Like 60% of high school seniors say they want to make $1 million.
Right.
Almost every real estate agent says, I want to make 6 figures. I want to make $100,000. Well, that doesn't make you unique.
Right.
Every single real estate agent out there wants to make $100,000, or every person out there wants to be a millionaire. What makes you unique is the things you do on a daily basis to get you to that point.
Yeah.
And, that's why I like to focus on what are the actionable steps to get you to a result, not just some fancy result that we put in the sky.
Exactly. And I think it's good to measure things generally. It's like good to have a measurement or to review that measurement, and it helps you. But as long as you keep in mind that, that you're not flipping off those daily actions, those daily habits, those actionable steps that are going to move you past. We've talked about lead measures and lag measures before. Lag measures is maybe the result. Lead measures are the steps that you would take every day to achieve that result. But if you focus on those daily activities, there's potential for it to take you further than that. So it's like, okay, well, I understand like there's you need to measure at some level, but you need to focus really. It's more about focusing on your daily actions more than anything.
I think these arbitrary goals too make it, it facilitates the idea that this is easy.
Yeah.
So like if I say I want to make $100,000, that's my goal. Well, it facilitates the idea that every agent should make $100,000. Well, if you focus on the daily activity, you realize, hey, I've actually got to do a lot of work to make $100,000.
Yes.
And then you start to get focused on, all right, what do I have to do that will separate me from my competition or for the other agents out there that aren't making $100,000?
Yeah.
And then you start to get really focused on, all right, I've got to put in the work. And I just don't like these pie in the sky ideas that, hey, I'm going to make $1 million. I'm going to make $100,000. It just, those goals don't make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, it's vague. But anyway, so let's talk about, the first thing is like just 95% of resolutions are abandoned before the end of January. So that whole idea of resolutions, we need to abandon that from the very beginning. But I want to give you this framework that actually works for you to achieve something this year. So the first step, and this is what we used to do in the Marines, this was called an after action report. Okay. So after every operation, after every training operation that we do, we did an after action report. And so we said, okay, what worked, what didn't work, what can we improve. And we tried to do that as quickly as possible so that idea was still fresh. And you have some time to set aside and go, okay, what did I want to happen last year and what actually happened last year? Because, and I can tell you, there's probably for a lot of you, there's a big gap because there were some things out there happening in the marketplace that maybe you weren't prepared for. You were maybe waiting for interest rates to drop and they didn't. And so, it was just sort of this, a lot of uncertainty. And so there are probably a lot of you that go, okay, I wanted something to happen and it did not happen the way I planned. And so let's review that past year and be honest, be honest with yourself about what you wanted to happen and what actually happened. You don't have to be mad. You can be objective. You don't have to be angry, right? Just objectively look at what happened, and that will inform you on what needs to happen in the next year.
That's usually the missing step in the goal setting process. Somebody says, I want to make $100,000. They start, working towards making $100,000. They don't sit back and say, hey, what did I do that worked? What did I do that didn't work? And why did I not achieve the $100,000? That's the step that's usually missing is like the reflection piece, right? The after action report.
Right. So there's a 4-part, the method called the KISS method, which is and once you've kind of been honest about that, once you've reviewed your last year, you're looking at 4 things. Basically, number 1, what do I want to keep doing? Number 2, what do I want to improve upon? 3 is what do I want to start doing? And 4 is what do I want to stop doing? And I would take some time and really sit with each of those things. Hey, what do I want to keep doing? What worked? What do I need to, improve upon? What was maybe worked a little bit, but I need to improve. Okay. And what do I need to start that I wasn't doing last year? And then again, what do I need to not do anymore? And I would write down like specifics, right? And under each of those categories, again, in your after action report, so you can review.
Yeah. I mean, we've done a couple podcasts on this too, about who you hang out with and maybe changing that too, because until you start to become the people that you want to be like, then you're going to struggle because if you start hanging out with people that are like, hey, you're self-employed, blow that off and let's go play golf, or blow it off and let's go have beers, or, do this or do that, then you're not going to get to that result. Like you're going to have to start hanging out with the business owners that are like who you want to be like, or hanging out with the successful agents that you want to be like, and start to emulate the things that are working for them, they're doing well, so that you can get to the result you want to get to.
Well, that brings me to my next point, which is like the act of true change, right? Like if you want to actually change, you have to develop a very compelling vision for your life, and you have to become that person before you see the results, before you see the change. So it's like, okay, if I'm going to change, just to your point, it's like, if I'm going to change the person that I'm going to become, or first of all, I need to see myself as that person. Secondly, I need to surround myself with those types of people so that I can learn and glean things from them. So it's like, so the act of true change is you have to embody that new person and do the things that new person does. And you've got to become that person now. So that's when you're in that, after you've kind of set that past year aside, okay, who do I want to become is more important than what do I want to do in terms of developing that vision for your life. So, for people who are like getting into like a fitness type routine, they'll say you have to see yourself as an athlete first, right? So like, what does an athlete do, right? So you have to embody that person.
Yeah, and you're not going to see the results immediately. I mean, it's going to take time. Like if this were all super easy, every agent that became an agent would make as much money as they wanted to make and sell as many houses as they want to sell. It's not easy.
But don't you think that's like the biggest thing is the agent, when they're coming into this, they think that they can keep doing the same thing that they've always been doing and they're going to make all this money. It's like they feel like they're like, I'm just going to be the person that I am now. It's like, no, you have to become a different person if you want to succeed in this. You've got to develop new skill sets. You've got to develop new habits. You have to learn new things. It's like you're becoming a different person. The more you can embrace that idea, the better.
Yeah, these shows don't do us any favors. They do make it look way too easy, and they make it look like business falls out of the sky, and it gets people excited, and it's the wrong message.
Okay, well, let's talk about what matters, which is sort of the thought to action, like what needs to happen in terms of taking what you've been thinking about. You've taken this appraisal. You've got this vision. Hey, I am a successful real estate agent. What does that successful real estate agent do? But the first thing is you need to set these objectives with a framework, and you cannot be vague. This is where people fall off the wagons. They go, "Oh, I want to make $100,000." To your point earlier, it's like, okay, well, that doesn't do anything. You can't just think I want to make $100,000
and it just
starts
into reality.
You're not gonna. Yeah, there are things that you have to do. Like what you do matters. So in that, changing what the idea is into the action and the setting of objectives, what I like to do is I use a SMARTER framework. So it's an acronym, SMARTER. That the goals are specific, that they're measurable, that they're actionable, risky, a lot of pushing you outside of your comfort zone, that they are time bound, that they're exciting, and that they're relevant. Okay, so let me. There's one thing that I wanted to point out here, and when I'm coaching real estate agents, sometimes what they'll do is like, oh, I just want to set a goal that I can achieve because it'll make me, feel better about that achievement. And I think of goals and it's like, hey, set goals that are just a little bit risky, that are going to push you outside of your comfort zone, right? Because if I set a goal that says, well, let's just, what would be like a reasonable goal? Oh, I had a realtor one time and they said, I just want to sell. It was like March. And they're like, I just want to sell 2 houses by the end of the year because that way I can achieve that goal.
Yeah.
I'm like, that kind of sounds like lazy. Like it's not going to actually, it's not compelling. It's not going to get you to do anything different. You can accidentally sell 2 houses. So it's not changing your, I don't know. It's not changing who you are. It's not improving. It's just like sort of like,
Yeah, they want to feel good about themselves, so they want to set something that they achieve. And so there is a mindset piece to that, and that's why my goals are the action items, not the result.
Right.
So as long as you get up every day and you do the action items that you said were going to deliver that result, you met your goal.
Yeah.
Now, it may not have produced the results, but I actually don't use the SMARTER framework. I don't have any problems with the SMARTER framework, but the way I've always done it in the corporate world and in my personal life is I take it back to science class. Okay. In science class, you were trying to solve a problem, right? So what problem are we trying to solve? Are we trying to get more clients? Are we trying to get more clients that are higher value clients? So sell more expensive homes, whatever that is for you. But you have a problem you're trying to solve. Okay. And then you have a test case of how you think you can solve that problem. You do that. Did it solve the problem or did it not? Or did it make it incrementally better? Yes or no? If it didn't, all right, let's reevaluate how we're going to solve the problem. Let's try something different. If it made it at least incrementally better, then like how do we work it so that it's just a little bit different and try it again until we get the result we want to get to. So it's very simple. It's like, what problem are you trying to solve? How are you going to solve it? Did it work or did it not? Yes or no? And then you make incremental changes to be better. That's it.
Yeah, I think there's probably just a couple of different, and I don't disagree with that, but there's still something you're looking at it as like, hey, this is a problem I want to solve. I'm looking at it as like, hey, this is an objective I want to achieve. So where do you find that
to me, if you're not solving a problem, you shouldn't be doing it.
Interesting. Okay.
So if it shouldn't be an objective of yours if you're not solving a problem. If you're not,
problem. So basically, you're looking at it as like the problem is I'm not making enough money.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's how do you get more clients? How do you make your clients worth more? Or how do you make your business worth more money? Those are the 3 things that you should be trying to solve in your business. And if you're not working towards that, then what are you doing? The objective shouldn't be, and yes, you can reword the objective so that you're making more money or whatever it is you want to do, or have more free time for your family. Like, how do you change your schedule so that you're getting more stuff done earlier in the day so you have more time for your family? Any of the problems can be, but they should be a problem that you're trying to solve.
Yeah, I mean, well, the only thing that I would say, like in terms of like looking at it like as a problem versus like an achievement oriented thing, I think maybe that might have like a negative connotation, like something's wrong and I need to fix it, more than like something is like I want to get to a certain place in my life. So I don't know, maybe something's not necessarily wrong, but maybe I just want to
Yeah, yeah.
improve.
But that could be a problem too, right? So let's say that you don't have enough money to take your family on vacation. Well, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Like, and you want to solve it. Like, right? You want to make more money so that you can go on this vacation, or, like whatever result you want in your life. Like, there's a reason why I'm not there today.
Yeah.
How do I fix it?
Yeah. And I think we're probably in agreement. There's just a little bit of wording that's different between you're looking at problems, I'm looking at objectives. It's basically the same thing. It's like, okay, there's something that I want to be different.
Yeah.
Right. And so how am I going to achieve? So I like that idea of you're running test cases to improve this by actionable activities, which that's the other part is like you have to consistently review like this whole act of setting goals, objectives, whatever, solving problems. Okay, whatever you want to do, it's like it's not a one and done thing.
No, it's
That's probably the larger problem. It's sort of like the resolution, because I can spend a ton of time in this goal setting process, whether it's smarter, whether it's problem solving, and I come up with whatever the solution is or whatever I think that the things are, and then I stick that on a shelf and I don't touch it. Right? It's like you're not going to have this figured out in one session.
No, it's iterative. Like, you work to solve the problem, or you work towards the objective. It did or didn't work, and you make some adjustments, and you try to do better the next time.
Yeah.
But if you got incrementally better, it's worth it.
Yes.
Like if you got 1% better, great. But
yeah.
maybe just adjust a little bit and keep working. But it doesn't mean you have to scrap the whole thing and start over. It just means make incremental adjustments and keep working towards whatever that objective is.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, that's the other thing is like I would want people to understand is like this is ongoing. You're never done, right? Basically, next year you should basically be building on your previous year. So basically it's a continual process. So I think it's good to have an annual review, but I also think it's good to have a weekly review and a quarterly review, right? With maybe some of the bigger projects or the bigger rocks that you wanted to get achieved during those points of time. But you're right, it's iterative. You're always adjusting and changing. And there are things that like sometimes it's like, maybe I thought I wanted this, but then I don't want it anymore.
Yeah.
Or maybe there's something new that I discovered in this process that's going to be added to my annual, objectives or new problems that I need to solve.
Yeah.
So you're always doing it. It's just building that framework for that change.
Yeah, I mean, a basic example would be the problem was I didn't have enough closings last year.
Yeah.
So my hypothesis is I need to go from 30 minutes of lead generation to an hour.
Right.
That's and it will result in more closings next year.
Yeah.
You do that action for a quarter. You go from 30 minutes to an hour. Then the reflection of that is, did I actually go from 30 minutes to an hour? Did I actually do what I said I needed to do to get more closings? Yes or no? Great. You did it. Did it result in more closings? Yes or no? If you went from 30 minutes to an hour and you didn't get more closings, all right, we got to figure out a different way to solve that problem. If you went from 30 minutes to an hour and you saw some additional closings, do more of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, what I do like about the smarter framework in terms of like, is it gets people to define more specifically what it is that they want to achieve. Okay. So for instance, like if I go, I want to lose weight or I want to make $100,000. Well, that doesn't do anything. But if I say, hey, I will make $150,000 in income by December 20th, 2023. And I break that down into, hey, I need to basically make $15,000 a month or $13,000 a month. And then I can do that sort of problem solving in between incrementally in that process. But again, it's like, I like the idea of, or for me, it's like when I'm coaching someone, I need them to get specific about what it is. I don't want them to say, I just want to make money.
Yeah.
I just want to increase my income.
No question.
I just want to lose weight. It's like, well, tell me like, how much weight do you want to lose by when? And what does that even mean? Right. Cause you can like, let's just say, hey, I want to lose 30 pounds. It's like, well, but do you want to have like a level of health and fitness in that? Or you just want to like not eat for 6 weeks, right? Let's get specific, right? So that we can actually, take steps towards achieving that. And the more specific you are, the better.
Yeah, and it also teaches you to say, "I will do this by
I
X,"
will. That's
versus like, "I want to." Like, you just need to scrap the "I want to."
Yeah.
You have that. There's a mindset aspect of it that has to be set.
But here's the other thing that I will say though: with that, whatever objectives you have, I would not go more than 5. I actually think that's one thing that's changed for me. Oh, it's a phone ringing. That's one thing that's changed for me is like I used to go like 8 to 10, and I'm like, no, that's not even. There's too many things to focus on.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go down to like no more than 5, and I might narrow that down a little bit because I'm looking at bigger things that are actually going to affect change in other areas of my life.
Yeah. I agree with that. And I do like aspects of the smarter framework. I like aspects of a lot of different frameworks, but I think a lot of times people get too bogged down with too many ways to, set goals or do this, and it starts to get overly complicated, and then they don't follow the process. Whereas if you make it very simple, like remember yourself in chemistry class, like you had a problem trying to solve it, did it work or did it not? I think it helps you at least move forward until you can get to a point in your life where you can do something more elaborate, like a smarter framework.
Yeah. But keep it simple. The simpler, the better, right? Yep. I think we would both agree that's like, don't make it overly complicated. Have some, and guess what? Because it's iterative, at 3 months we can review. And if you want to add goals at that time, right? If you establish these habits, right, and then you want to add goals at that time, great, do it.
I think the key we would both agree on is make sure you're focusing on the steps towards achievement so that you can successfully say, yes, I did these things. Like, yes, I did the things I wanted to do to meet the objective.
Yeah.
And that you can feel good about that. Now, maybe it didn't produce the result you want, but that's the iteration part.
Right. And then you can observe and tweak whatever you need to tweak. Okay. The other thing that you got to do in this framework for your new life, okay, is you have to take an honest appraisal of your time. Look, as so many real estate agents, they wake up in the morning and they're solving problems right out of the gate, or they're like they're jumping in their transactions or answering phone calls or talking to clients. Look, your heaviest lift of the day are these things that you need, whether it's problems you need to solve or objectives you're trying to achieve. Whatever those key activities are, that needs to happen. You need to have set aside time to do that every single day. And the more you can put it at the top of your day, the better. I realize some people might be part-time and they might have to move it to a different part of the day, but that's the most important thing. And then those other sort of task type items can wait. Okay, so again, take the appraisal of your time. When are you going to do these things? Because if you don't set aside time to do them, you're not going to do them.
No.
Okay, so when are you going to do it? And you need to see, by the way, you need to embody a competency in time management. It's like, I am a competent time manager, right? Repeat that over and over to yourself. You're not going to achieve professionally in your life until you can competently manage your time. It's incredibly important.
Yeah.
Okay. So
that's one of those skills too, where like, it's so important at the very beginning, because most people don't start this career and this is all they do. Yeah. They're doing some other odd job until they get on their feet. And it's the most important in those scenarios, right, that you manage your time, because you're only going to have a little bit of time. So if you're not using it effectively, you're basically wasting it. Mm-hmm. Like you're never going to see results that you want to see. So you can leave that bartending job or leave that paint salesman job until you can manage your time.
I had a college professor friend of mine tell me, and I didn't go to college, but I tried to. She told me, she said, really, as a professor, I can tell you, college is more about learning how to manage time.
No question.
Because you've got big projects, you've got little projects, you've got quizzes, you've got classes you've got to attend, and you have all of the time is yours to do with what you want, right? So you're an independent adult for the first time. And so she's like, yeah, basically it's just kids learning how to manage their time.
I learned more about time management in those 4 years than I did anywhere else.
But you were having to work 2 jobs or something at the time, right?
Yeah, I was working 3 jobs and going to school and, doing extracurricular activities that I did and all that stuff. So it's just, you have to become very good at it or you're not going to make it. Okay,
so let's distill this stuff into action. So let's just say we'll work with that framework of I want to make $150,000 by December 31st, 2023. Okay, and so we're going to distill that. So that means that's, $12,000 to $13,000 a month, right? Okay, so what are my action items? An example of this would be like, okay, look, I need a daily social media post that's going to be, to my larger audience. I need a weekly email that's going to go to my database, to my engaged database. I need 4 transactional client meetings per week, like people who are actively in the process of buying or selling. I need to talk to 4 of those per week, and then I need to do and I need to do an hour lead generation a day, an hour follow up a day. Okay, so that's maybe like that distilling of like those are the key things that I need to do 4 days a week to achieve this objective of 150,000. Okay. And now you've got to look at, all right, I'm going to do those. What are the things that are taking my time? What are the distractions? And this is universal with all real estate agents. We are, incredibly distracted, right? Whether it's Instagram or it's Facebook, TikTok, YouTube,
Showing houses to non-transactional
showing
clients.
houses to non-transactional clients, phone calls. That's another thing. It's like a phone call with a friend, texts with friends, group texting.
Yep.
You need to be honest with yourself, and sometimes we can the distractions are masked under productivity. Like, well, I just need to organize my house, or I need to organize my office, or whatever. It's like, well, look. I'm okay with you taking a day to do that, but a lot of people are like, oh, I just need to reorganize. And then they don't ever get around to taking any action on anything because they're too worried with organization.
Yeah. The only thing I would add to that is like make those action items that we just described the goal.
Yeah.
And if you set aside the time and you do those action items and you're not producing that $12,000 or $13,000 a month, reflect on that. Do I need to meet with my mentor? And are the calls that I'm making not good enough quality? Or do I just need to up the volume of calls?
Yeah.
I would argue that if you up the volume of calls, you're going to get better at it anyway. So let's start there. But it may be that your scripting is just a little off, but it's a reflection point at the end of that first quarter. If I'm not hitting $12,000 or $13,000, don't focus on that. Focus on what do I need to change so that I do.
Yeah.
And if you're doing the activities, it's a successful quarter.
Yeah.
Now it may be that you need to iterate. But it's a successful quarter because I did what I said I was going to do to meet the objective.
Right. So yes, absolutely. I 1,000% agree with that. It's like, look at those things. And you're absolutely right. If you're doing 4 transactional meetings with clients per week and you're not closing deals, something's wrong.
Yeah. Just meet with a mentor. Like, hey, there might be, just need more practice. You might need to do some role play, something like that. But, that's a great time to say like, what isn't working? Like I'm doing all the things that my mentor said I need to do to make $12,000 or $13,000, and I'm not. So there's something broken here.
Right. So do you do and I do this, do you do a weekly review? Like every week?
Yeah, no question.
When do you do yours?
I do mine actually on Mondays.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you set aside time Monday morning?
To look at the week prior and how I'm going to change the week moving forward. Yeah.
Got you. And are you looking at your sort of objectives or those problems or those larger problems you're trying to solve, and then the making the adjustments at that time?
I'm saying like what things are popping up as problems in the week prior? What do I think I need to do to solve them? I do that for a week, and then did it solve the problem or did it not? Or did it make it incrementally better or did it not? And then I make adjustments and go to the next week.
Right. For me, I'm doing of course, this, I do mine Sunday evening, right, around 4 or 5. And so, because you're getting a ton of emails or texts from me trying to solve problems at that time. I do basically the same thing. I do a KISS framework each week. And then I basically review is like, hey, what did I want to get achieved this week? I'm like doing an after action report there every single week with a KISS deal. And then basically reviewing all of my tasks, all of my stuff that needs to be moved from one week to the next. And then
it doesn't surprise me that you got hung up on the word problem, just because our mindsets are completely different. Like,
you're right.
You perceive that word as negative. I perceive it as opportunity.
Yeah.
And so but we have just different personalities. So I could totally see how no one's ever said perceive that as negative. I don't perceive that word as negative at all. I think it's a great thing, because if you know what the problems are and you're trying to solve them and you're moving in the right direction. Yeah. So I perceive it as actually very positive. So, but it didn't surprise me when you're like, hey, that's nice.
Yeah, I call them challenges,
Yeah. Okay.
not problems.
Okay. Well,
Anyway.
bless
All
your
right.
heart.
Yeah. All right. What's our next thing?
What's our next thing?
All right. Yeah. Okay. I think that was just it. Just that you're reviewing each day, each week. You're looking at there's even, you should be looking at like, hey, those things that I'm supposed to be doing every day, did I get them done, and why didn't I?
Yeah.
By the way, one of the things is a lot of agents. This is so funny to me. How many agents ask me about like the office and like, oh, I want to come to the office and work from the office. And
And
how
they
does the
never come.
office work? And then they never show up. Some of you guys, your biggest distraction could be that you are working from home and not working at the office. And I'm not saying everybody needs to do this, but you might need to wake up in the morning, get dressed like you're going to a job, and actually go to a job. Right?
Yeah,
If you're trying to get a lead generation knocked out first thing in the morning, get up and go.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's a mindset thing, just like the problem thing is a mindset thing for you. It actually physically going somewhere and sitting in a space that is perceived as a productive space can help a lot of people. Now, I don't need the physically going somewhere to sit down and work, but some people do, and it's a real thing.
I'm somebody that does now, probably because I've got a lot of noise at my house. There's a lot of stuff going on.
But that's not just you. I mean, my wife's that way. I mean, I can already tell that one of my kids is going to be that way. Like if it helps you, do it. Like that's the thing is like, we're looking at all of these ways that we're trying to solve these problems, and we're trying to get incrementally better. Whatever that is for you is what's important. It's not what's important of what I need to do to solve the problem. It's what's important that you need to do to solve the problem.
Yeah. That's absolutely right. Okay. What else? What else are we missing?
Hopefully nothing.
Well, when you guys are thinking about going into your 2024, get intentional, get specific about what you want to achieve, who you want to become, and what those daily actions are going to be to get you there. As always, like, subscribe, wherever, or give us a rating wherever you listen to podcasts. We appreciate you guys and looking forward to a fantastic 2024. Bye, guys.
Bye.